From lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions mascara to awakening your eyes with lift and color from the Brilliant Eye Brightener, Thrive Cosmetics is the go-to when you want to amplify your everyday look. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin. And for every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help communities thrive. So every time you use your favorite Thrive Cosmetics product, you're helping communities you care about too. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, the new Disney-Pixar movie is coming to the resort. Santa Ana Wins gives us a glimpse into the past.
The current president of Disneyland is moving up and out. The Oscars are coming to the Grand Californian. We talk about Discovery Bay and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Howdy, partners. For your safety, remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast. And be sure to watch your ears. If any of you folks are wearing hats or glasses, best remove them, because Tag and Teresa have the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of March 11th, 2026. I'm Tag Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show, but this week we would like to give a special shout out to Bonnie S. for becoming a brand new supporter, as well as Bob L., Bonnie P., and Sarah M. for your continued support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only chat, plus a bunch of other really fun perks, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
I still think it's funny that we had two Bonnies in support this time.
And a Bob. Bonnie,
and a Bob. Lots of B's. Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
Leadership is changing at the Disneyland Resort, with Thomas Masloum succeeding Josh D'Amaro as the chairman of Disney Experiences, with Jill Estorino taking over at Disneyland. Jill has a long history with the Disney company, most recently as the president of Disney Parks International.
We were talking about this before the show, because this literally dropped right before we recorded. So that was perfect, because that usually never happens in our favorites. It's been happening more often, though, which is great. But we were talking about this before the show, and how with Jill, with her previous role, sounds like it should be more important than like just the Disneyland president. So I need to look into what all the international parks, what was it?
Role.
The executive vice president of global marketing and sales for Disney's parks.
But then she was president of Disney Parks International.
Yeah. So I need to look more into what the president of Disney Parks International is, because that seems like that's a pretty big role. But so Thomas, I have a very,
we barely knew you.
I have a very I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I'm very happy for him, the person, that he's being promoted and being recognized and getting, moving on up as it is. And I think it's great, like, the stuff that he started at Disneyland and the stuff that he did with the cruise line is phenomenal. And so to have that kind of thought and outlook be over all of the parks and experience products, I think is fantastic. But what makes me so sad is he'd only got to spend just over a year at Disneyland. So it seems like he was just kind of getting things going. And I really liked all of the things that he's been working on and focusing on, because the things he was working on and focusing on, we just reported on recently, was not necessarily things that were like quick moneymaker type things for the parks. It was stuff that was kind of taking a step back and like redoing training and re-looking at the experience and how can we make this easier and how
long-term maintenance.
Long-term maintenance. Exactly. The stuff that wasn't like, cash grabby kind of stuff. Like what can make us money? No, this was like, how do we make this a better experience for our guests? How do we make this a better experience for our cast members as well? So I hope, and I'm sure that those things will continue, even though he is transitioning next week on the 18th. Is when this move takes place. So I really hope that continues. So I'm sad that we didn't get him longer, because I think he could have made a really big impact.
Well, we talked about this last week, right? Or whatever it was, that we were worried that, like, he was doing all this good stuff, and we're like, well, if Josh is moving up, hopefully he doesn't move in, and that's exactly what happened.
Which again, not that he doesn't deserve it. We're just being.
But that's what it comes down to, right? Is like people get promoted who are doing a good job, and so unfortunately, we get somebody who's doing a good job, and then they get promoted.
Yeah,
I just wish the corporate structure would just settle for a while.
Yeah.
Stop changing so much stuff.
I agree. And maybe it will. Maybe it will now. So we're very excited to see what Jill is going to bring to our beloved Disneyland Resort. Again, I'm sure she will continue some of the, on the path and continue with the things that Thomas started to, just kind of elevate everyone's experience. So because we've got a big anniversary coming up pretty soon here. 75. I know we just 70 is barely in the review mirror. We're still celebrating, but 75 is coming and is going to be here before you know it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, we won't know and honestly, I don't even think we'll know for the next 6 months or more, because I feel like as somebody comes in, they don't do a lot of changes. They're probably just trying to get their footing and stuff. And so, but let's just hope that we keep going in the right direction. That's what matters.
Yes. The new Disney-Pixar movie Hoppers opened this past weekend with characters from the movie coming to the parks. At Disney California Adventure, Mabel's Seek and Find will provide guests with a physical keepsake map with challenges guests can complete in the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. Piper Curda and Bobby Maynahan from the movie were in the parks to experience this activity. You can draw the characters from Hoppers in the Animation Academy, and there will be magic shots with Disney PhotoPass.
So this is kind of interesting. So, we've talked about how we enjoy things like the pumpkin pursuit and the extravaganza around Easter time. And this is kind of like that. You're not paying anything for it. You're getting a map. You can get multiple maps. Each time you get to the end of the map, you get a different sticker. I think this is a great use of the area, doing something in the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, because they could do more stuff there. So, yeah. And then, of course, your favorite, the Animation Academy, is getting some people they can draw. You can draw Mabel, Tom Lizard, or King George, which was pretty good. You went and saw it. What did you think?
I did. Maybe we should do a bonus episode on our thoughts, because we both got to see it over the weekend. So not to give too much away, I thought it was cute, but I don't necessarily feel like I gotta go see it again.
Sure.
Does that make sense? That's where I landed.
I thought it was cute. Part of it, I think, is I haven't really been excited for a movie. I actually thought that they marketed it okay, because I actually heard about it, because I feel like the last couple, it's been hard to hear about. I thought it did some good storytelling. I love the idea. I love the fact, and this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. I love the fact that Disney also owns Avatar. So when they're like, so it's kind of like Avatar, and the lady's like, it's nothing like Avatar.
Nothing like Avatar.
I will say, and I'm not going to go into any details. I love what was the beaver that was very low energy?
Oh, what's his name? Loaf.
I was like, what a great name for a character.
Yes.
And then that whole scene where he's introduced and all of that, I thought that was really a funny kind of interact. Anyway, I think it's pretty good. It's a good Pixar movie and all of that. So it's cool that they're doing synergy in the parks and all of that good stuff.
Well, and I like so I saw somewhere on social media that what this experience is, or what this, I don't know, little activity is you get to, so again, not a spoiler, but what the movie is humans can quote unquote hop into these little animal, robot animal bodies, I guess would be a good way of saying it, and then go explore and pretend, blend in with nature kind of thing. So the first step of this little activity is you pick your character that you want to quote unquote hop in, or who you're going to be in. So I thought that was cute. And then, you get the little stickers and all that. Super fun.
I loved the couple times when they were talking about how it works, and they're like, this into this.
Oh, yeah.
This into this. And then they did it later. I was like, oh my God. It was very funny. It was the type of dumb humor that I needed at the moment. We are live streaming a recording of our episode, and somebody in the chat of the live stream is asking about, are we glad we saw it in theater or wish we waited until it was streaming? I want to support Pixar as much as I can, and I want them to continue to make new non-sequel things. So I will go see it in the theater, and I think if nothing else, it is worth it for that.
That's exactly why Vern and I went. In fact, we were in the midst of doing just weekend chore stuff, because backstory. He and I only get to spend part of Sundays is all that's like just Vern and Teresa time. So we try, like, usually that's doing not so fun stuff and just like catching up for the week. And so we were in the midst of doing that, and I said, "Oh, I want to go see Hoppers," and he's like, "Do we have to go today?" And I'm like, "Yes, because it's opening weekend, and I really want to support it on opening weekend because it's a quote unquote original story. It's not, Toy Story 55 or whatever, So like and it's not like a live action remake of something, like it's an original. I'm like, I really want to support it on opening weekend because it's original. So honestly, if you're in that camp that you just want to like put your money towards seeing, vote, I guess, for seeing more kind of original stories and original content, yes, I'd go see it in the theater. As my enjoyment level of it, I don't know. I'd say you're okay to wait until Disney Plus.
I mean, I feel like in general, my thought with the movie theater experience is, especially with how short the theatrical windows are nowadays, that unless it's something that you think you need a giant screen and great sound for, like most people, I think, just wait for streaming, and I think that's just the world we live in now. But from somebody who used to work at a movie theater when I was younger, I have a lot of nostalgia for the movie theater. I still like the experience of going, and we have like the recliners and all of that stuff, and of course like popcorn and everything. And I like the theater experience. But yeah, it is more expensive. The movies haven't been as great, all of that stuff. So anyway, I just think if you enjoy something that somebody's doing or a company is doing, you should support that to kind of put your money behind it. Because we talk a lot as a society about like, vote with your wallet. If you're upset that somebody's doing something, stop spending money. But we don't also talk about like when people are doing things we want and it's good, we should spend our money for it. So support all of that. The Santa Ana wins this week have given us a fun hidden gem. On Main Street, USA, Scrim and Scaffold are up from Carnation Cafe to Refreshment Corner. With the high winds, the Scrim was rolled up and a sign for Carnation Company from 1955 was revealed. It appears that the current sign was covering the historic piece of Disneyland history for all of these years.
This is wild. Just crazy to me because this has been there for however many years. And the fact that there's been other things on top of it, and this looks like you could very easily make this like show ready again, is what's crazy to me about this. Because you would think to have the signs on top of either they would have taken the original Carnation Company sign down before they put the new sign up, or if they're just going to put the new sign up over the old sign, you think that there would have been damage done to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just what's just amazing to me, is that it's not that there's really very minimal damage. You would not know that there's been another sign on top of this Carnation Company sign for years, decades. Just amazing. Disney magic right there.
Yeah.
It gives me hope for like the Mary Blair mosaics that are over in Tomorrowland.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps maybe, yes, we know that those are behind. Then perhaps maybe those are still, like, if this sign looks this good, I've got hope.
Yeah. Looking at this picture on Mice Chat that's linked in the show notes, did they take the windows out as well?
Oh, above? I was too distracted by the Carnation Company.
It looks like they took the windows out. I feel like they're doing a very extensive refurbishment of this area.
I'm trying to pull it up real quick because Laughing Place also had photos, but they must have taken it from the omnibus because they were higher up.
Oh.
So let me find those real quick.
That's smart thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the windows are out above there. You were good catch. Like I said, I was too mesmerized and too like mind boggled.
Oh, this is a good photo.
Yeah.
We'll put the link to this in the show notes as well, but like, wow.
I mean, incredible. Just incredible. It looks like you could just do a little like, a little polish here, a little polish there.
Yeah.
It is ready to go. I just can't believe
the
that.
fact that this was there since like 1955, and the fact that they like, I don't know why, but I feel like maybe I hold Disney to a higher standard than maybe they hold themselves in some cases. I thought that they would have like removed this and put something else.
And again, if not removed it, you would have thought for sure that there had been, I don't know, construction glue or some sort of something to put the new sign on top of it so it didn't fall. Well, that's just wild.
Thank you, Santa Ana wins. I did watch David's Fresh Baked construction update from this week as well. And The scrims were also down around the Portos constructions. We got a good look at some of the work they were doing there. And yeah, so there's a lot of things going on around the resort that we got like a little glimpse into.
Crazy. Just crazy. Well, with the Food and Wine Festival in full swing, there's some new merch to be had, of course. Apparel, collectible housewares, and more are all offered. I, again, think they're doing a nice job with the logo, with the like theming of the merchandise. What are your thoughts?
Pretty good. I was trying to figure out kind of like, because it seems like the logo, if you will, is it like a license plate? Like I'm trying to figure out. It seems familiar to me, but I can't quite place it.
Oh yeah, there's a license plate that says Food and Wine Festival, but then like this.
But that's what this is too. Is that a license plate?
It's not really a license plate. I just say it's like a sign.
Okay. Oh, like a street sign, probably.
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
I like it.
It seems like Goofy and Chip and Dale are our ambassadors, if you will, for the Food and Wine Festival.
Yeah, I like it. You know, I'm a huge Chip and Dale fan, and so the fact that Chip and Dale are part of this is cool. What do you think of the ears? I know you're like, this
I was just going to ask you about
too.
the Spirit jersey, because that's what's got my attention. Because I love that it's tie-dye, and it's kind of like a navy blue and a lighter blue, so it's not like, in-your-face tie-dye kind of thing. And it's just kind of easy, chill on the front with just the little Food and Wine logo on there. But the back is what's got me. We've got Chip and Dale with their pile of acorns that says, "Here for the snacks." I love it. Like, perfect. And that's exactly what you do for the festival, right? You're there for the snacks.
In terms of Spirit jerseys, I quite like this one.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice design. Sorry, back to the ears. I think they're cute. They're kind of a good, like, anybody can wear these, because instead of having like a bow in the center, they just have like Chef Mickey. He's got a frying pan in one hand and a spatula in the other with that little Food and Wine Fest. We're going to call it a street sign. But I like what they did, the crossover with the Pixar Pal Around being like a wheel of different food items. Not all of them are things that you can get at the festival, because there's just like a hunk of cheese,
an
avocado.
Carrot.
There's olives on a stick.
Yeah.
There's a Dole Whip in there too, I think. So they're just random food items. So it's not specific to.
Is that sushi?
Might
I think
be.
that's sushi.
Yeah, could be. But I think they're fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do enjoy that anybody can wear these ears, and it's not specific with the bow. I
do like this design of the ears quite a bit. And you weren't necessarily wrong, because Mickey is on those as opposed to the other one. So
I was
that's
trying
probably, you were
to
probably
say
looking
Goofy
at it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me an out.
Well, I just know that my brain works that way sometimes too. I'm looking at something and I'm thinking a different thing, and I say what I'm looking at. Well, the biggest night in Hollywood is just a few days away, and the Disney's Grand Californian is getting in on the fun. Guests of the hotel were able to join special movie screening nights and performances. Tarzan and The Lion King were offered, along with piano tunes daily at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Jazz performances are on Fridays and Saturdays hourly from 6 to 9, because a lot of this is going on the rest of this week. But by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be too late to go see it. But like, what a cool kind of thing, because I forgot the Oscars are even coming up.
So with doing a lot, like being more involved and being more aware of what's happening at Walt Disney World because of my planning with Concierge, this is extra cool to me, because this is something that the Walt Disney World resorts are kind of always doing. Like, it's very often that they have Movie Under the Stars, or there's always tons of different activities. So that makes me even more happy and more excited when Disneyland does some of that, because it's not necessarily something we see our resorts, our park resorts doing as often. So I think it's fun. And like, if you're going to theme it to, why not celebrate the Oscars, or why not this or why not that? I think that's fun.
Well, it was funny because when I started reading this article, I thought that it was going to be Oscar nominated movies that they were showing. Sure. And then it was like Tarzan and Lion King. And I was like, oh, like
Oscar, like current Oscar nominated.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, interesting. Well, then I was like, well, of course it's Disney movies and not that. My goodness. But yeah, I like the idea that it's something interesting, and if it gives you another reason to be a guest at one of the Disney hotels.
So they are Oscar winning.
Okay.
like for
But not
Disney.
this year,
Yeah,
though.
not current Oscar winning, but
Sure.
they have those films did win Oscars, so that's the tie-in there.
There you go.
Well, an Easter tradition is not at the resort once again this year. The Disneyland Fudge Easter eggs, which were massive and also a massive hit. The last time these were offered were in 2024. They were almost as iconic as the candy canes, with being offered on certain days and through mobile order only. And I think the other kind of cool thing was there was different flavors. And so it was a little bit of a, I don't know, luck of the draw or spin of the wheel. You didn't always know what the flavor was going to be the day that you were going to be there if you wanted one of these eggs.
Yeah, because it looks like in the past they've had things like chocolate nut, vanilla nut, chocolate cream, black walnut, and peanut butter fudge.
Mhm.
Last time I remember us talking about this, I think the peanut butter was like one of the newer things or
Yeah.
one of the options or something. I don't know why they're not doing this. They were very popular. They made money. I don't know if maybe like it's just so like labor intensive maybe, or was there like one person who like knew how to do it and they retired, or like I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of questions here of like why would they not continue to offer this? Because I remember when we reported on it, people were like obsessed with these. Not quite candy cane level, but pretty close.
It was like the Easter version of the popular candy canes for sure. And I just think like stuff like this is what makes Disneyland unique, and like people can build traditions of getting their candy cane from Disneyland every year, or of getting their fudge Easter egg, like maybe that's their own family traditions as well.
Yeah.
Especially with it being, right? Lots of locals are going to that park versus them doing something like this again, like at Walt Disney World. If we're comparing the coast, it wouldn't make sense at Walt Disney World as much as it makes sense to happen at Disneyland. So it's sad when these things go away.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
We have to get the snacks for Tag and Teresa and James and Bern. Oh, and Cinderella. Time for SnackChat.
Well, this week for SnackChat, we are continuing on. We are out of Downtown Disney now, and we are entering the end of Downtown Disney, which is the Disneyland Hotel. And we are stopping we're kind of going around in the circle. And so the first thing you come to is the coffee house.
One of the best. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of fantastic places within the resorts, but the coffee, right? First thing you got to do every day. I just think it's so smart that we'll get through 2 of the 3 resorts have a coffee shop right there on property. And then the other one, I guess you're not too far from the coffee shops, but I would say breakfast is probably your big meal of the day here, but they also have snacks available too. So for your breakfast options, we'll kind of quickly go through these. We have different sandwiches, including a breakfast biscuit sandwich, a breakfast croissant sandwich, and a breakfast burrito. That these are all made with either sausage, eggs, and cheddar, ham, cheese. Yeah.
Of course, it's a coffee place, so you're going to have assorted pastries that are also available. So you have things like a Mickey-shaped pretzel, so that's a little unique.
Oh, that is unique. I didn't know they
you
had
get
those.
a plain bagel, a jalapeno and cheese bagel, and everything bagel. They have a bunch of different types of croissants and muffins, a banana nut loaf, some danishes. Basically, your smattering of breakfast accoutrements.
All sorts of like cookies too.
Look at that.
So they do have some grab and go options here too. If you want to just grab something to take up to your room, we've got like fruit platter, mixed nuts. We've got a charcuterie board. There's like some snack items like trail mix, tortilla chips. Gosh, all sorts of things. We've got different parfaits, different yogurts, oatmeals, grab and go. I don't know, like cereal cup things. And then you can also just buy bags of Joffrey's blend coffees there as well.
So obviously for coffee drinks, we have normal, decaf, and regular, all the normal stuff for coffee. But there's a couple of different kind of things that make it stand out. There's a yuzu espresso that's iced, which is an espresso shot, yuzu syrup, and mineral water. There's also something called a red eye. It comes in regular or large, which is a regular coffee with a shot of espresso inside of it. So those are some interesting things. And then, of course, a giant list of espresso drinks, cappuccinos, lattes, mochas.
Think any coffee house traditional menu. They've probably got it on their menu.
Ooh,
here.
Cold brew.
They do. There is a caramel. I want to try this. A caramel mudslide nitro cold brew that they've got there as well. And there's also an Irish cream cold brew, which is non-alcoholic.
There's also a French roast cold brew. They have some refreshers. So they've got things like a mango milk tea, a citrus aqua fresca, a summer floral soda, which is club soda, hibiscus, and grapefruit syrups, and lemon juice. There's a spiced raspberry iced tea, a roseberry lemonade, a hibiscus watermelon lemonade, a cool melon, which is simply lemonade, gold peak green tea, rock melon cantaloupe, and cucumber syrup with fresh cantaloupe. That's
delightful.
Interesting. And a sour mango. So lots of options there as well.
There's also tea. They've got some Disney kids meals and Disney kids check meals. And there are some alcoholic beverages as well, different beers. There's a Kahlua cold brew or a Bailey's cold brew if you want to mix and match your alcohol and coffee beverages. Different Chardonnays, all sorts of fun. Then they've got like bottled beverages for you to grab and go as well.
And then for snacks later on in the day, if it's not breakfast time, you can get some sandwiches. So they have a chopped shaker salad as well, a ham and cheese croissant sandwich, a bagel pepperoni pizza and cheese pizza. They have a veggie wrap, a caprese and prosciutto sandwich. That seems right. You love caprese.
That sounds delightful. There's also a Mediterranean shaker salad, sourdough grilled cheese sandwich, an Italian ciabatta sandwich, and a roasted turkey sandwich. You know, this is not that big of a location. I don't know how they fit all of these things in there.
It's a smaller location.
It's very small. So if you've ever been, there's typically a line out the door just because there really is not much indoors area. I'm trying to think of another place around the Disneyland resort that would be about the same interior footprint as what the coffee house is, and I can't think of anything because it's that little. Like maybe think the Magic Shop on Main Street.
Maybe I was
like
thinking
the pin shop. Maybe different configuration.
Yeah,
obviously.
I was thinking like the interior part of the walk-up window of Stage Door Cafe. Like that's a very small spot. You can usually fit just one person deep. It's kind of like that. And you're right that when we were there, a lot of people wait either right outside the door or they kind of tuck into the corner as much as they can. Because when people are ordering a lot of these drinks, like, you know, the cashier person's trying to get all the stuff. But then there could be kind of a backup. And so, but there's outside seating as well. Of course, you're in the middle of the Disneyland Hotel, so you can go around.
You can also sometimes mobile order from this location. I don't know if they always offer that because, again, it is just a little tiny spot, and it's not like they've got a separate mobile order window. But yeah, sometimes mobile order is available too. So I think it's great, especially if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel. This is a great spot to grab either your morning caffeinated beverage or a morning grab-and-go snack sandwich breakfast item type thing. Or if you're taking a break in the afternoon, it's a great place to grab a beverage and maybe sit by the pool.
This is where Teresa got coffee the morning of her wedding.
You got me coffee from there.
But you drank the coffee from there.
You delivered coffee to me for my wedding. And I was very happy because Tag asked them to make some magic. And on the side of the cup, instead of putting my name, they wrote bride and put like little stars and Mickeys on it. It was very, very cute.
Yeah, every time I think of this location, all I think about is your wedding. I don't know why. It was just like the place that
That was where we went.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's certain things that stick out for certain reasons, and that's the one that sticks out for me.
There you go. Well, you have heard us talk about our wonderful experiences staying at the Howard Johnson in Anaheim. Well, we've partnered with them to offer our listeners some really cool discounts. Weekly tiers can get 15% off their next stay. To take advantage of the discount, head on over to DLWeekly.net and click on the Howard Johnson logo.
We're now approaching Trivia Land, folks. If at any point you smell smoke, don't panic. That's just Tag racking his brain. And if you hear a boom, that's Teresa, delivering an answer. Put them together, yep, TNT.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we have the best listeners in all of the podcastiverse. Because they send us awesome questions that sometimes send me down rabbit holes, and then I pull myself out of the rabbit hole because I realize I'm getting too deep and it's becoming way too difficult and you're never going to have the answers. And so I just choose one question from it, and then I go back to the listener submitted questions, and we've got a great trivia for you tonight. Are you as excited as I am?
I was with you when you said that we have the best listeners.
I don't
100%. Yes, we do.
Yeah. I don't know, Vern, if anybody could be as excited as you are right now.
That's true. All right. Well, let's get into it then.
Yes, Luna just growled about that. Piper. Sorry,
no,
Piper.
No, that's her like relaxed, like.
Oh,
yeah. No, Luna's half asleep.
Sorry.
All right, your first listener submitted question from listener Ginny W. On the stagecoach wagon that sits between Frontierland and Galaxy's Edge, there is a large shipment going to someone. Who is this shipment being delivered to?
I'm sure it's a great Easter egg.
Oh, this is my rabbit hole.
Is it do you think it's a C? Our discussion topic tonight's going to have some C people, so I'm wondering if it's a SEA.
It could be. I'm trying to think, like, what is...
Is it C? Why I feel like that's not right now.
They kind of put, like, Tony Baxter into lore, because there's that photo of him. I can't remember what that... What the character's name is, though.
I'd know it if I heard it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I don't remember what it is. So that's my answer, but it's not really that good.
So you think it's to the Tony Baxter character that you can't remember what his name is? He was like the Baron or something for the...
yeah.
You know what's annoying? For our discussion topic today, I was reading an article that probably talked about all of this, and I don't remember any of it.
That's how it goes, right?
That's what we got, Vern.
Yeah, that's not very good, but that's what we got.
Okay, so you're going to hitch onto that stagecoach and say the Tony Baxter character?
Yes.
I can even like see the portrait in my mind, which is not helpful. But that's what we got.
All right. Well, your second question is from me going rabbit holing.
You going rabbit holing. Okay.
Because I was fascinated by that first question, and as I was looking up the answer to it, I found all sorts of links, and I fell into those links, and so...
Trivia Land's a dangerous place.
So you were supposed to have something better for me than that Tony Baxter character, because now I want to know what's the significance of that character.
Oh, no.
Well, he was part of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, the SEA thing.
And he is something, I can't remember what he is for Rainbow Ridge. Is he like the mayor or something?
Yeah, he has something to do with Rainbow Ridge.
Leadership of Rainbow Ridge.
Or like
founder.
Elite, like what is it called? Like, what are the rich people in a thing called?
Elite?
Yeah, like a Rainbow Ridge elite.
Okay.
It sounded better in my head.
I think I have no idea if we're on the right track here or not.
Okay.
All right. So an SEA character who is the Rainbow Ridge mayor or otherwise elite. Going with that?
Yeah. We're being so specific.
Influential. He's
influential.
Yes, he's influential.
He was an influencer before there was influencers.
Yes.
Oh,
he was an influencer before it was cool.
You know, he's walking around with his stick that's supposed to be like a camera. His walking stick. Oh, Lord. Oh, man.
All righty. Well, your third question is from listener Corey Y. That's Corey with a K, and then last name with a Y. The time capsule that is located in DCA, what year do they plan on unsealing it, and where is it located?
So I think it's located at the base of the flagpole. Like right after you come in through the turnstiles. What is that area called? That's where Oswald's always hanging out.
Well, I mean, it's like their version of Town Square, whatever that would be. Yeah.
So I think it's located at the base of their flagpole there.
I think that's right. Yeah. When was this installed, or was that part of the question, Vern?
Well, when are they opening it?
Opening it.
Yeah, but when was it installed?
That's not the question. The question is, when are they opening?
I know, but my question to you is, when did they install it?
Maybe that's the next question,
Oh.
and you should just answer the one I have.
It's like, stop asking questions.
It's my job to ask questions, Tag.
Hit him in the head. More broccoli?
Yeah. When did they redo, like, when was the DCA?
That was like
makeover?
2010?
So I'm going to say 2035 is when they're opening it.
Yeah, 25 years seems like a good number.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so 2035, you're going to pop into that capsule?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Why am I coming up with the puns on this, right?
I don't know. You're having a good time tonight,
I have
Vern.
the walking stick.
That's true.
True. Very true. All right. So, from Corey Y, the bonus question to that question, what year did they bury the
Are we
capsule?
gonna go with
2010.
2010?
All right. Both of you saying 2010 for burying the capsule.
Yeah, because otherwise...
I really don't know how I feel about this trivia this week.
Yeah.
We have
Well, you know what?
There's
Trivia
like-
doesn't know how to feel about us either.
I know. There's like negative confidence here. They're like, we're going to learn a lot.
You didn't even write down our
Nope.
bad answer for the
Nope,
first
didn't.
one.
Sure didn't. Or second one. Because I'm like,
jeez.
I don't even know how to write these down.
Wow.
It's okay. I
like,
keep
what
track.
do I say? Tony Baxter character and
Influential person?
influencer before it was cool.
You know, I have over here my notepad and my pen, and I keep track of everything. I don't know how James does it, because he doesn't write on this at all. I don't know if he does it on his
Oh.
computer, if he just keeps track in his head or what, but
Probably the computer.
I hope so. Or maybe
Yeah, I don't
he
know.
just is that good and he keeps it in his head. I don't know. But
I would just like to say that it may not be the right answers, but they are the
But
entertaining
they are
answers.
answers.
They
They
are
are
answers.
answers.
yes, I mean, if
They're maybe.
We're not saying stumped. So
Yeah.
that's something.
Perhaps
that-
more
I'll
entertaining.
give you that.
than really
I mean,
We are here to entertain.
if somebody said to me, who are the four faces on Mount Rushmore, and I said Dalmatian, it is an answer.
it's true. That's true.
I thought you were trying to be clever, like Dalmatian, like was some acronym for the people that are on there, but nope.
No, no, I was just giving an answer.
Oh, yeah, that's
Four
true.
old white guys that were presidents. There you go. Actually,
True.
were they all presidents? They were all presidents, right?
Four grumpy-looking men because
Yeah.
no one's smiling.
Stern.
Stern.
Well, they had
Stern.
wooden teeth and stuff. You'd be upset too.
And your final question tonight
Oh, we still have more questions.
from listener Miranda.
Wow. Sorry, Miranda.
Who wrote the score for Captain EO?
Who wrote the score for Captain?
I'm just gonna
EO?
go
And
with
we'll give you bonus points if you can name 6 characters in Captain EO
Oh.
other than Captain EO.
Yeah, I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the
I-
score was written by John Williams.
Let's go with that, John Williams.
I don't think that's right, though, because I think it's more pop music. Well, it's the score, though.
Ooh, it wouldn't be.
Whoop, she's scribbling it out, folks.
So, okay, right? Michael Jackson. Who? It wouldn't have been like Elton John or something. I'm thinking who writes, like, I don't think Michael Jackson would have written a score.
No. That's why I think it's like a John Williams or
Okay,
something.
we'll stick with John Williams.
It's going to be something crazy. It's going to be like David Bowie, and we're going to be like, what?
That, yeah. Something cool. Something
I wouldn't put it past him, though.
unexpected.
All right.
Anyways.
You know what'd be really dumb is if me just rambling on. I'm like, I say, like, what if it is
Probably
David
we already
Bowie?
said
Then it
it.
would have been like, dang it.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
You
Suppose.
talk yourself out of the answers.
All right. So, John Williams, final answer.
Yeah. Yes.
The least confident trivia land ever.
All righty. Well, listeners, how did you feel about how they did tonight? How did you do listening at home? Well, if we all stick around until after the discussion, we can all find out together.
All of us.
Yeah, all of us, exactly.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, it's a great lead-in from Trivia Land, actually. We are talking about Discovery Bay. So, since, Teresa, you had no idea what this was, what is Discovery Bay?
So, a little backstory of how I just recently learned of this was I was just recently recorded a podcast with a fellow weekly tier. It's called the Fantasyland Draft League.
Oh, sure.
And I don't believe that episode is live yet. Once it goes live, we'll make sure to post on social media if you guys want to listen to it. Tag was on one of their earlier episodes as well. But basically, there's a topic, and we all have to bring things to the table of like whatever the topic was, and like kind of like defend why we chose these things like a draft. So our topic was like missed opportunities, was kind of like the generic overarching thing. And so I was going down all sorts of different rabbit holes on what I wanted to say were the missed opportunities. And that's when I came across Discovery Bay. And I was like, immediately just like, what is this place? Why didn't I hear about this? It sounds amazing. Why doesn't it exist? Like, all the questions came flooding. So for those of you like me that maybe had never heard of Discovery Bay, and the weird thing is, Tay and I were just talking, I've seen some of this concept art, but I never knew what it, like, some of these like iconic things that would have been in Discovery Bay I've seen before, but I guess I never realized that this was supposed to come to Disneyland. And I assumed that this was maybe like what Paris ended up getting for their version of Tomorrowland, and like different pieces have kind of come out in different ways, but all of this, it all stems back to Discovery Bay. So back to what is Discovery Bay. So Discovery Bay was an expansion that was created for Disneyland, but was never built. And it was designed by one of our faves, Tony Baxter. And where Discovery Bay would have been is exactly where Galaxy's Edge is today. Like that expansion pad originally was Discovery Bay. And it was kind of like, I don't know, like a steampunk feel community, like a late 1800s inspired area that just was kind of like, again, about like discovery. But yeah, it just looks so cool.
So Tony Baxter, who was kind of the lead on this, was quoted as saying that of all the Disney park projects that have not been realized during my years as an Imagineer, Discovery Bay stands out as the most intriguing. It was to be a place in time, a Victorian approach to science that occurred in the late 1800s. It would have been the location where Jules Verne or H.G. Wells would have set their stories. So to put the time frame, this was in the mid 70s that they were trying to come up with this. It was going to be a new land that basically was going to bridge the thematic gap between Fantasyland and Frontierland. So if you think about it, it is kind of a weird transition, even today, from Frontierland, Galaxy's Edge to Fantasyland. That is kind of a weird kind of connecting. So this was supposed to kind of do that. And there was going to be a sky balloon attraction similar to the Skyway called Professor Marvel's Balloon Ascent that would have taken people between the two lands. That's interesting, right? Like what?
Yeah. And the other thing too, so again, we're talking about how, yes, this existed, but different pieces of this kind of have come out in different ways. Professor Marvel had a pet dragon. So there is another very famous Disney pet dragon that now resides on the opposite coast that is kind of the pet of a professor. It is not Professor Marvel, of course, but Figment is kind of like the version of what kind, how this kind of came to be and how this lives on in the parks. And again, other things too that we'll go over of what the ideas were, and then how those ideas didn't completely get, even though they didn't come to Disneyland specifically, how they didn't completely get shelves and how they kind of got reimagined into other parks. Some other attractions that were going to be there was going to be a fireworks factory, which was going to be a shooting gallery where the guests would be shooting fireworks at different targets.
That's different.
Yeah, there was also an attraction called Island at the Top of the World, which would have been based on the 1974 film of the same name, where guests would ride airships to the island of Astragard.
I love the idea of like all these like flying attraction kind of things. So there was like the thing that connected the two. There was this flying airships. By the way, kind of slight side tangent. I just find it so fascinating that we had like dirigibles, like the Goodyear blimp, almost blimps that people used to ride, and like nobody does that anymore.
That's
just
true.
Interesting.
That is true.
There was going to have a Lost River Rapids attraction that was going to be inspired by the Jungle Cruise, where guests would pass through a lost world region near the bay inhabited by dinosaurs.
Highly inaccurate dinosaurs.
So you already talked about the balloon descent from Professor.
Different. Did not. Nope.
So Professor Marvel would have had a balloon descent, a Skyway-inspired attraction which would connect Discovery Bay to a proposed Dumbo Circus expansion of Fantasyland. So
look at
that would have been something added to Fantasyland even.
Professor Marvel also had a gallery, which was going to be a carousel theater. So like how Carousel of Progress works, attraction that was themed to an illusion gallery run by an old jolly professor and his pet dragon.
Well,
so
that's where you get that idea.
That's where that came from. Yeah, it became something different, and we still love the dragon. But man, we could have had our own Figment.
We could have. You know what else could have had something of their own? The sailing ship Columbia, because they were going to build a new dock that would have been, instead of sharing the dock with the Mark Twain, it would have had its own dock there.
How cool would that have been?
That would have been really cool. And then finally, the Spark Gap Loop. There's a lot in this land, by the way. This would have been a roller coaster themed around Nikola Tesla-inspired electric technology.
So tons of attractions. So again, this was in the spot that has Galaxy's Edge currently, and we just listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attractions.
Only a couple things in Galaxy's Edge.
This land, so there's all sorts of concept art and sketches that has been released. Of course, we'll have the links in the show notes if you guys are curious to kind of see what this land was envisioned to look like. It looks like it's so alive. It looks like it had tons of different moving kinetic areas to really like bring the life like forward, and like the fact that it's all about science and invention and discovery. Like this would have been so cool. Restaurants. So for the foodies out there, the restaurant would have been called the Nautilus, and the Nautilus would have been a restaurant themed to being on the Nautilus. From, of course, 2000 Leagues of the Seas, but which is just wild.
You know what I noticed? So in the link in the show notes, there's like kind of like a black and white concept art of this area. And I was just kind of looking at it as you were talking. And one of the things, of course, that stands out is if you look at it, you can see the Disneyland Railroad kind of bisects this area, which that would have been really cool. It looks like they have a station that they would have built there for it. So we would have had another station on the Disneyland Railroad. Of course, we have like the dirigible kind of thing popping out here. But if you look, the Skyway buckets were actually like way down over here. It would have been closer to like next to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is where that would have gone. And then it also has that area of the Dumbo expansion that's also there that was talked about. So it's not just Discovery Bay that was in this concept art. Looking at this, I love this idea. Obviously, some of these concepts ended up becoming other things at other parks, which I think we'll get to talking about in a little bit as well. As with most things that we've talked about, when Imagineers over time have created something, no idea ever gets like thrown away. It gets thrown in a drawer somewhere, and at some point later it gets like pulled out and used elsewhere. So some of these things have shown up other places as time has gone on, but unfortunately not really at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of lore, I think, that goes with it too, right?
So I think before we move on to the lore, let's talk about those pieces. We kind of already talked about how Professor Marvel and his pet dragon eventually did evolve into what was now Dreamfinder, and his pet dragon, who then became his student, Figment. So of course that is located in Epcot. But we also had the Dumbo Circus thing. We did get that themed expansion of Fantasyland in Walt Disney World, but not at Disneyland where it was originally figured out to be. And then we also had Mysterious Island, which is a land at Tokyo Disney Sea that, of course, borrows heavily from Jules Verne, based on the same novel again, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But Discovery Bay was also heavily influenced and featured characters from the novel too. So that's kind of the like tie-in from across the theme parks there as well. Oh, Pleasure Island The fireworks factory, which was supposed to be a shooting gallery in Discovery Bay, was repurposed as the name for the restaurant at Pleasure Island. The thing that's so cool is these areas that Discovery Bay kind of got like parted and pieced out to has now become like overarching story of like the Society of Adventurers and Explorers, so of the SEA lore.
Yeah.
All of these places are still, they're connected, even though they're all across the globe, and they all originally came from this one land, this one concept that never came to be.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact that Tony Baxter was part of this was, we looked at the stuff that Tony Baxter's done, which has been amazing. Of course, he did Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. He did Indiana Jones Adventure. He was the lead on Disneyland Paris. So, like, he's been involved in a lot of these big things. And he, I assume, was coming around this time, was the time that they were also talking about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, because that wasn't already built there. Because we're talking about, like, 1975, 1976. Because Big Thunder was, 77, 78 at Disneyland? So it was also something that kind of popped out of that time frame. Yeah. So later on in 79, so it would have evolved partially. I mean, this, judging by the fact that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad was a huge part of the lore of this area, obviously Big Thunder would have also happened.
Yeah.
But we actually got that. This was all the parts of stuff we didn't get.
That's true. So we did end up with one piece of Discovery Bay and it didn't completely all go.
It's fascinating to me that Discovery Bay was supposed to be like near San Francisco, like storyline wise, which is kind of interesting.
So moving on to the lore.
There's like a Golden Gate Bridge here.
Look at that.
So Tony Baxter basically talked about, he was interviewed for the issue of the Disney News that was printed, and they talked about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad he was talking about. And then he talked about the story of Jason Chandler, who was the founder of Discovery Bay. So part of the lore for this whole area was that the gold that was taken out of the mountain of Big Thunder, the people that benefited from that gold didn't go spend it in Rainbow Ridge. They went and took it and built this amazing harbor area called Discovery Bay. So part of the story of Jason Chandler, who was the founder, I'll just quote right from Tony Baxter, was the highly imaginative tale includes the legend of a young inventor named Jason Chandler who lived in a town called International Village during the peak gold rush years in the Big Thunder region circa 1849. According to the chronicles, the young inventor devised a drilling machine with the capability of boring into the very heart of Big Thunder Mountain. There, the veins of gold ran so deep, it was rumored they could produce a mother lode that would bring a man enough wealth to last 100 lifetimes and more.
Whew, sign me up.
Right? But a cave-in occurred on Big Thunder, burying 26 miners alive. They would have drawn their last breath then and there had it not been for the inventor and his drilling machine. He burrowed down into the Earth's core, rescuing the miners from certain death. It should have been a moment of joy and celebration, but as the men scrambled to the arms of safety, a massive earthquake shook the ground, and a cavernous maw opened up, swallowing the inventor and his machine whole. The miners, as well as the citizens of the village, struggled day and night against the mountain, trying to dig the young man from his living tomb, but they never saw him or another nugget of gold again. Big Thunder had taken its vengeance not only on the miners, but on their wealth as well. The mountain had gone bust, and it became just a matter of time before only ghosts resided there.
However, that is not the end of Jason Chandler's story, because he actually survived the incident and dug himself to safety with his machine, but he realized that his inventions may easily be abused, so he chose to disappear, and he established a new home on the California coast near San Francisco, and he called it Discovery Bay. He funded research for any inventor whose odd ideas had been turned down by anyone else. Today, Chandler is included in the Disney theme park mythology of the SEA, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, as one of its founders. So the whole thing was not created just to add something new to Disneyland, right? But it was because Frontierland itself, we're out of the lore now. Sorry, out of the lore. This is real park. Why we were doing this. Frontierland was struggling. They needed something. They needed to give it a boost. When it opened in 1955, people were, films were very, very popular for the Wild West and
Cowboys and
Indians and all that kind of stuff. But decades later, guests' attention just weren't on, like the Wild West wasn't as exciting anymore. They had kind of shifted, and space and spacemen were the kind of new and exciting thing. So they were trying to figure out a way to kind of breathe new life into the original land of Frontierland. And this was kind of the thought process of how to like make it exciting and invigorating again. And come on, like that backstory tying Big Thunder into then the creation of Discovery Bay and the fact that you would have like right in the park. Yes, it was right next door, really, when you look at the park map, but it looks like you would have had to, like, it was almost like a secret that was on the other side. Think of how Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is now, because it's on the other side of the berm. It wasn't easily like, oh, oops, he's right over there, that kind of thing. So I just...
You know what's amazing? I did not realize I never, you don't think about people's like ages. Tony Baxter was barely 25 years old when he was tasked with saving Frontierland.
Isn't that wild?
He was a rising star, obviously. I mean, we've talked about Tony Baxter before. We've been to a D23 thing, I think, that was talking about some of his history, or of basically like he had this whole like sketchbook of things that he was like showing of his projects and stuff. And he was being mentored by Disney legend Claude Coates, who was responsible for a lot of the classic attractions. Of course, we know all about Claude Coates as well. The first thing that he worked on under Claude Coates' supervision was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction that was in Disney World in 1971. So then he kind of, worked up his way there. At the same time, all of that was happening, Mark Davis was developing Thunder Mesa, which would have been at Walt Disney World's Frontierland, which was kind of like Rainbow Ridge on steroids, I want to say. Remember, we've talked about it a little bit before. So they're trying to, it would have been a structure, this Thunder Mesa, that would have had a river ride like Pirates of the Caribbean, that would have called the Western River Expedition, and it would have had a runaway mine train as well. And then they were kind of like, well, that sounds really expensive. And at the time, the Disney parks weren't, the company. This was in the 70s, right before, within 10 years, we're going to have the takeover or attempts of the company, and Michael Eisner and stuff's going to come in. But they wanted to do something, right? So we eventually got Big Thunder from it.
The thing that's so crazy, too, was how close this was there's actually a 1/20th scale model that was built of Discovery Bay and on display in Disneyland's Town Square in the former Wurlitzer Music Hall building. And there was an exhibit there that was entitled Disneyland Presents a Preview of Coming Attractions. So they actually had a model on display for guests to be able to go and see what this new land was. So that's the thing that's crazy to me, that I somehow had never even heard. This came so close, but I don't feel like it's really talked about.
No.
Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. Maybe I'm not deep enough into the SEA lore to know about this, because I feel like if you're like super deep into SEA, of course you've heard of Discovery Bay,
right?
Because it's part of the whole thing.
I've seen some concept art of it, but like I didn't know all of the like in-depth stuff that we're sharing right now. Jim Hill, who does a lot of great stuff and has forgotten more about Disneyland than we will know about Disneyland, shared an Imagineering memo that kind of detailed the land. So I just want to talk about like the story background and just close your, well, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're able to be somewhere where you can close your eyes and just envision this. Along the rivers of America, in the northern portion of Frontierland, lies Discovery Bay. Having its roots in a San Francisco of the 1850s to 1880s, the theme area would bring to life a time and place that climaxed an age of discovery and expansion. Discovery Bay would reflect the influx of opportunists, dreamers, and adventurers that poured into the cultural melting pot after the discovery of gold. The railroad link with the East had brought with the beginnings of culture and luxury, and the area was now earning its reputation as a city of myths and eccentricities. With these parameters established, a western port city would be a logical and exciting addition to Frontierland. Such a demarcation point would be a natural for many of our exciting show concepts, as well as some exciting new ones. The flexibility of this once-only place in time can best be demonstrated through a brief sketches of some attraction possibilities. The area would fan out around a bay inlet from the rivers of America. Standing on a rock outcropping, the old lighthouse keynotes the styling for this age of mechanical marvels. The Columbia would dock, as well as several set-piece crafts, giving the feeling of international adventure to this frontier port. Along the docks would be a traditional Chinatown. This version would recreate a Chinese settlement in the days of the western frontier, with exotic food dishes, merchandise, and an unusual attraction called the Fireworks Factory. Here guests could test their marksmanship, bursting skyrockets, pinwheels, and various firecrackers as they move through a whimsical assembly line. So like, also, we didn't even talk about this yet. This like Chinatown section, like, holy, there's so much here.
There was so many layers to what this was going to be. Just so many layers. And I was just reading ahead because there was different things too that some other beloved Imagineers would have been kind of like showcased, I guess, in this as well. So going back to Professor Marvel, which there's this fantastic photo of Professor Marvel in this article. Of course, again, links will be in the show notes so you guys can look at these as well. He just looks like this like odd, quirky, fun man with his cute little dragon. Spoiler alert, the dragon was green. It was not purple, so it was not originally. He would like Figment, yes, evolved from this, but it wasn't truly like the Disneyland Figment. But anyways, Professor Marvel's Gallery of Wonders was inspired by none other than Rolly Crump's Never-Built Museum of the Weird. Isn't that so cool? So that, again, was the one that was going to be housed in the revolving theater, think Carousel of Progress, starring Professor Marvel and his little dragon friend. But it was inspired by Rolly. I think that is so cool. And kind of like gives you a better like visual representation of what this, like what that would have been and what that would have looked like, because Rolly had such a unique, fun style. Whimsical is the best way to but a unique take of whimsical style that what a fun character. Bring Professor Marvel. We need him.
What the concept art kind of reminds me of, and again, they don't throw things away, so maybe this is what the inspiration was. But is it Hong Kong Disneyland that they have the Mystic Manor? He looks like the guy from Mystic Manor.
Like the guy from Mystic. You're right.
Because I was trying to pinpoint it because I was like, his beard.
It's it's a very uniquely shaped beard. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. And he's got a mischievous little monkey pal, not a dragon.
Well, because they already used the dragon for Figment.
That's true. That's true. But this land just would have been fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. Beyond the hangar, there would have been a towering, dormant volcanic mountain with bubbling waterfalls to hide the show building for the attraction called the Lost River Rapids.
That's cool.
Come on.
Well, look at this. Towering over the inland area would be a great prismatic glass tower housing a botanical garden all set into the base of a distant craggy mountain peak. The buildings would look like a lavishly decorated Victorian high society port with elaborate dance hall exteriors, plush chaise lounges, crystal chandeliers, and more that all disguised the actual merchandise locations selling artisan crafts, scientific supplies, and more.
This, would have been fantastic. So if you were able to, in 2014 at D23's Destination Disney, Tony Baxter actually spent 45 minutes talking about Discovery Bay and showed restored 35mm footage of the pilot episode of the Discovery Bay Chronicles, which was narrated and starred Peter Renaday. The proposed television series was meant to build anticipation about the new land in much the same way that, of course, we saw with Walt Disney kind of getting excitement for Disneyland. There's just so many levels and layers of this that it's it's just so good. So good. And at that time, Tony was quoted to say that he thought that it would still make a great miniseries with all the characters kind of like steampunk adventures. But he said a lot of what we planned is out there, but you really got to look for it. And, he's right. Because like we said, there's already bits and pieces that people have Professor Marvel and the dragon. And we've got, Big Thunder Mountain was part of it. And just other pieces. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So it kind of
goes back through it.
Yeah. So Disneyland Paris, Tony reformatted Tomorrowland into the world of Jules Verne called Discoveryland and feature a full-size Nautilus with a dining experience and the Hyperion airship in its hangar. So that's where that actually came to be.
Yep.
Over at Tokyo Disney Sea, the Mysterious Island section is themed for Jules Verne's work and includes ideas from Discovery Bay. Fortress Explorations even has a docked sailing ship on the lagoon with a playground of crates and boxes, just like Discovery Bay's plans.
Did you hear? So the final little thing of this wonderful article that we're getting a lot of this information from, single surviving thing, of course, was Big Thunder Mountain, which did become the signature attraction for Frontierland. It opened in 1975, but almost exactly when Discovery Bay, including Big Thunder, was meant to have been completed. So instead of an entire new land, the only thing that was left was, the opening and the fact that it would have opened the same time. One last thing too is what happened? What happened to this guy? Why didn't this happen? This amazing thing. Yes, unfortunately, that's exactly what it was, money. So the film Island at the Top of the World from 1974 did not perform well, both financially and critically. So that failure was not, the only thing, but it did kind of contribute to the company's reluctance with like really pushing forward and going with this land. So, they were skittish. So instead of Tony was actually quoted to say, instead of the executive saying, we did a bad Jules Verne movie, they thought, well, people just aren't interested in Jules Verne. Yeah. So they were banking on the movie, but it was, but it was just unsuccessful. But he also is quoted to say that they would have been, and they would have, because this would have opened in 1979, they would have been on the leading edge of the entire steampunk phenomena. Isn't that wild? Because that's the other thing that you have to remember. 1979 is when this was slated to open.
Yeah.
They would have been so far ahead of that, like, I don't know.
I don't know that much about steampunk. Was it like the 80s that like became like a big deal?
I would have thought that it would have been, I don't know when I know. So when I was born, steampunk, like for our stuff, was very popular. I thought like more like the 90s, but I could be wrong.
The first known appearance of the term steampunk the term steampunk was 1987. This would have opened in 1979. Yeah.
So this was pre-steampunk. They could have been the first. They would have been steampunk before it was cool to be steampunk.
Originated largely in the 80s, so they would have been like right there. Wow. Mm-hmm. And Disney just didn't go to it. We've seen this though before, where like there was that whole thing where they were going to, what was it, Atlantis? They were going to redo a bunch of stuff for Atlantis, but then Atlantis didn't do well, and so
the submarine voyage was going to be themed to Atlantis. Yeah. That's right. You're right. Where and sometimes that worked because Splash Mountain was going to be themed to Splash, wasn't it? Like there was like a tie to the film, but then they
were going to name it something, and then Michael Eisner said, name it Splash. That's to kind of promote the thing. So it was
even though it had nothing to do with anything. You're right.
Which is kind of dumb, but it worked.
It worked.
Still called it Splash
it worked.
Mountain.
Well, you had a big splash at the end, so it worked.
But you know what? I've never seen Splash, the movie.
Neither have I. And you know what else we haven't seen? Discovery Bay. Do you want to know what we could have wish we could have seen? Discovery Bay. The thing that is amazing to me about this is that it would have like tied up all of the different storylines over there. Because like you said, you've got the Fantasyland connection to Frontierland, and now it's kind of even more disjointed with the connection into like Star Wars area. It doesn't, like, the transition doesn't make sense. The fact that it would have smoothed out and fixed that transition, looking at this map, I think it's so cool that you would have had a separate dock for the two ships. So that's cool. But looking to, so you've got the entrance in kind of like where the Galaxy's Edge Frontier entrance is now. But then you also have the connection to Fantasyland with that expansion of the circus. And you would have had like different flow because you would have dumped into Fantasyland a different way.
You know what's nice here? Look at this concept art again, linked in the show notes, is you actually had two paths leading out of Fantasyland into this area, because you have the one that kind of exists now that goes by Big Thunder, but they had this other one that was kind of like where that like abandoned tunnel.
Oh, sure.
Well, actually, this is up further than that because this is the bend of the river.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is if you look at this, they utilize that space that currently is just kind of like the remnants of Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. Yeah. They really like reused and revitalized that space, it looks like, because where is, I would think Big Thunder is about, there-ish. Yeah, they don't really have Big Thunder in where it is, but you can tell where it should be because of the river bend. So the fact that all that space is getting used in this version.
Also, who isn't a fan of adding more water in the park? Because this would have brought a offshoot stream into an area in front of Fantasyland, like off to the side of Fantasyland, it looks like. So, I mean...
And we had, there is that water, but it just kind of stops.
Yeah.
In Frontierland, like over that little, what do you call it? That little bridge that then you can see into the tunnels that used to be Mine Train into Nature's Wonderland. This would have been huge. Cool. This would have been really, really cool. And I think that this area has all the things we love. It's an originally themed area that has original ideas and concepts that doesn't need to be switched out based on what IP's hot. You know what I mean? And you could have. That's the other thing that's cool too. If Disney did at some point decide build Discovery Bay and want to put in different IPs, Atlantis would have fit into this area. Like think of different Disney IPs they could have fit. Atlantis is the one that comes to mind, top of mind most easily.
Big Hero 6 would have fit into San Francisco. Yeah.
And invention, the inventions and all that kind of stuff. So it's, this had so much potential, incredible potential at the time, but then kind of looking back from when it would have been created to now, all the other things that they could have been doing with it too, if they chose to, is just... I need to go back on my Fantasyland Draft League. I won't say what my number one pick is, but I feel like going through all this, we made a strong argument for Discovery Bay here. We're more limited on time because we had multiple picks from multiple people, but man, I just feel like this was a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah.
If we could live in a future that this existed, I would like to be in that timeline.
Right.
I just experience this.
I just love how, I don't know, I like the flow of this area from this concept art. I like how like guests would have flown, like, been able to flow around here. And honestly, like we talk about things like the Victorian, like steampunk, and then there's like a Golden Gate Bridge like thing, and then there's the circus. I don't know why, but somehow in this graphic, it all works together.
It does. Mm-hmm. It does.
Maybe someday we'll get some amazing thing like this in some Disney park somewhere.
Well, and again, like they've said, these things never fully go away. Have we seen kind of like iterations of these? Yes, but the exact things have not been recreated, like thing for thing. So this could still happen someday.
Yeah.
Where? I don't know. Would we love it to happen at Disneyland? 1,000%, well, of course. But yeah, I just so incredible.
Check out the links to the show notes if you want to see all the stuff we were oogling over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our friends over at All Enchanting Ears have been busy. They make fun and unique ears, plus ear holders, straw toppers, lithophanes, and more. They are offering a special discount code available to all weekly tiers. Use the code DLWeekly15 for 15% off your entire purchase. Head on over to allenchantingears.com and check them out.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, Chef. My name Raymond, and I hope them answers are bigger and better than this here back porch I got attached to me. Don't you know Evangeline and I wish y'all the best of luck.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we are going to find out the correct answers to
all together.
Questions.
Burn.
We're going to find out the answers to tonight's trivia and see how Tag and Teresa did and see how you, the listeners, did too.
Spoiler alert, I think not very good.
Can you get negative points in trivia?
No, stop it. Don't give them ideas. Can you imagine that like everyone we got right, they give us one, and then the times we get it wrong, it goes minus? I wonder where we'd end up.
Oh. Ooh.
Don't worry about that, Bird.
Let's just see how you did. Your first listener submitted question tonight from listener Ginny W. On the stagecoach wagon that sits between Frontierland and Galaxy's Edge, there is a large shipment going to someone. Who is this shipment being delivered to? You said to that Tony Baxter character.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you half credit because it was a Tony Baxter character.
Hey!
A Tony Baxter character by the name of Jason Chandler.
Oh.
Who I'm not going to explain more about because the next question is...
not the one we thought.
The next question is, from me going down a rabbit hole, what is the significance of Jason Chandler? You thought that it was a different Tony Baxter character, and you thought that it was a SEA character who was the Rainbow Ridge mayor. The correct answer being Jason Chandler, yes, he was an SEA character. And he was imagined by Tony Baxter to have been an 1850s inventor whose drilling machine bored into the very heart of Big Thunder Mountain.
Oh.
And then there's a whole bigger backstory of how there was an accident and Big Thunder Mountain caved in, and yet miraculously Jason and his machine survived it, and they were able to get the gold out of Big Thunder Mountain, and that was the beginning of Rainbow Ridge area, and a whole over-invention of everything. Big, huge, long story that was also going to lead into Discovery Bay, and I was rabbit holing for a while on this one.
Vern,
Yes.
the amazing thing here is you did not know this. But tonight's discussion, or our discussion topic for this week, because you just live in Trivia Land, you don't get out very much.
Yes. I'm trapped in my little cage over here.
Our discussion topic this week is none other than Discovery Bay.
Oh, yeah. I've already read the whole thing. I could have been the discussion topic tonight.
So now everybody knows how we do the podcast, because Vern just proved we do things in order, because we had not done the discussion topic.
Earlier I turned to you and I said, do you want to have Vern come do Trivia Land now or do it after we do the discussion topic? We should have waited.
Opportunity.
We would have done much better tonight.
Yes, we would have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
all of our listeners are like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah, everyone acts surprised when we
that is the significance of Jason
amazing.
Chandler and the SEA and Tony Baxter, and he was an 1850s inventor, and that's your first two questions in my rabbit hole and what I was doing while we were eating dinner.
Amazing.
Yep. Your third question.
I love that question. So who was that again?
So it was Ginny W. that asked the original question with the stagecoach, and that sent me down the rabbit hole and got us to the second question.
You must be psychic. That was like the most perfectly timed question to have submitted, and for then Vern to choose exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, so what really got me going was from Ginny, bonus answer, Jason Chandler is a fictional figure in Disney park lore, an 1800s inventor tied to Big Thunder Mountain's backstory and the never-built Discovery Bay concept.
Mm-hmm.
His name shows up on props like the Frontierland Stagecoach shipping label as an environmental storytelling Easter egg, and later lore connects him to SEA.
Amazing.
That's from Ginny.
I just like the odds of this question landing tonight is pretty.
Well, and this is right
wild.
at the top of Trivia Land questions, so this was very recently submitted.
Look at that. Perfect.
I don't know how all of, obviously this episode was meant to be all of this.
Apparently.
Serendipity.
Yep.
Not just a movie.
Okay.
Your third question tonight from listener Corey Y. Well, your third and fourth questions, we're just going to run them both together. The time capsule located in DCA, what year do they plan on unsealing it? Where is it located? And when was it buried? You said it was located at the town square-ish area right when you first get past the turnstiles by the flagpole, and they're going to open it in 2035, and they buried it in 2010.
Seems right.
Correct answer that I was looking for is just past the turnstiles, under the flagpole, at the end of Buena Vista Street.
There you go.
So yeah, you got the location.
Woo!
And they'll be opening it June 15th, 2037.
Oh, close.
25 years and 3 days after they buried it, June 12th, 2012.
Okay, so we have the 25 years part correct.
Yeah.
25 years and 3 days.
I think you would have given us the 3 days.
I totally would have let you float on the 3 days, yeah. But
we were just off by a couple years.
you were off by 2 years, and you said Town Square instead of Buena Vista Street. But otherwise, yeah. I'm giving you half credit because, you got the location spot on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Well done on those.
I'm going to pat ourselves on the back for the rest of it because that was pretty close.
Vern,
Yes.
Olivia would like to say that this answer sounds like the answer you give when you win Clue.
Yes, pretty much. It was Colonel Mustard with the wrench in La Biblioteca.
And suddenly we went into a different language there. Okay.
Si, senor.
Yes.
He's like Senior Buzz.
Yeah. He got stuck in the wrong mode.
Yep. And your final question tonight from listener Miranda. Who wrote the score for Captain EO? Both of you agreeing it was John Williams. The correct answer that I was looking for. Oh, and you had the option of a bonus. Name 6 characters in Captain EO other than Captain EO.
Yeah, we didn't even try it that one.
So you could have gotten a bonus with the Supreme Leader, Commander Bog, Hooter, Geek Idie, or Geek Odie, Major Domo, or Fuzzball. Could have been your bonuses.
Hooter? Was that one Hooter?
Hooter.
I feel like I remember, like, that one stands out to me. And then the first one was what?
Supreme Leader?
Supreme Leader. I feel like my brain, when you said those, I was like, oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah, okay.
Huh, all right. So, but your answer for who wrote the score was John Williams. The correct answer that I was looking for was James Horner.
Oh.
Who also wrote the score for Titanic.
Nice.
Among other many accolades that he had, but I just went for the biggest name that everybody should recognize. And if you don't recognize Titanic, where were you in the 90s? And if you say not born, I'm old.
More and more people fit that bill, Vern.
I'm old. Well, listeners, how do you do tonight listening at home or in your car or work or wherever it is that you listen? How do you think Tag and Teresa did? Do you have that great question that's going to send me down a weird rabbit hole or just really stump them next week? Or do you even have an easy question that's going to make them thank you? Any question that you have, if you would like to hear it live on the air sometime, please feel free to send that in to us at DLWeekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
A special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast, Andy Mack for all the wonderful character transitions, and to James D. and Aaron C. for supporting at the Club 33 level.
I am the podcast that flaps in the night. I am Tag and Teresa's tangent that takes you down the rabbit hole. I am DLWeekly.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.